The first poem that I'm going to look at in this video is Tree at My Window by Robert Frost. Um, and you'll see several examples of personification specifically with the tree in this poem, so that's mostly what I'm going to focus on, although I'll help you kind of analyze and understand the poem as well. So it says, Tree at my window, window tree, my sash is lowered when night comes on, but let there never be curtain drawn between you and me. Vague dream head lifted out of the ground and thing next most effused a cloud. Not all your light tongues talking aloud could be profound. And when it says this, not all your light tongues talking aloud could be profound, it is specifically talking about the tree. Okay, so you can imagine the tree kind of rustling and blowing in the wind, but it's comparing it to the tree talking. Okay, it has these light tongues and it's talking. So that's one way that the tree is personified, is by making it seem like the tree is talking aloud. Okay, and saying that not all of the things it says could be that profound or that meaningful. But tree, I have seen you taken and tossed, and if you have seen me when I slept, you have seen me when I was taken and swept, and all but lost. That day she put our heads together, fate had her imagination about her, your head so much concerned with outer, mine with inner weather. Okay, so there are a couple more ways that the tree is personified. One, it says that the tree has seen the narrator while he was asleep. Okay, trees normally can't see. That's not a quality they have. So that's one example of personification. But also, we have fate being personified down here. So this isn't really the tree, but fate has an imagination down here. So that's another example of personification. And at the end, it also says that the tree has a head that's concerned with outer weather. So obviously, a tree does not have a head. That's comparing it to a person. So that would also be an example of personification for the tree. At the very end, it points out that the tree is very different from the narrator. Okay, the tree has witnessed the narrator when the narrator has been asleep and been kind of lost. But here at the end, it says that the tree is focused on outer weather, like it's nervous about rain and wind and things like that. And the narrator is focused on inner weather, which is a really strange metaphor that the author uses. But what that would mean would be that the narrator is worried about his own well-being, like whether he is happy and whether or not he is basically staying emotionally healthy. Okay, so the tree is more concerned about all these things going on around it, and the narrator is very different. The narrator is concerned with being happy. Okay, so that's the difference between the tree and the narrator. The second poem I'm going to look through, and this is the last one, you'll notice that there's one more part of my slideshow, and you can definitely click on this and see more examples of personification, metaphor, simile, but I'm not going to read through the white umbrella, so you don't have to worry about that for today. However, I'm going to read through The Mirror by Sylvia Plath, which is a little more complicated than Tree at My Window. But once again, we're going to have an object that's given human qualities, so it's going to be the mirror in this case. So I'll point out some cases where the mirror is personified, and I'll help you to understand the poem as well. I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. Whatever you see, I swallow immediately, just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful. The eye of a little god four-cornered. Most of the time I meditate on the opposite wall. It is pink with speckles. I have looked at it so long, I think it is a part of my heart, but it flickers. Faces and darkness separate us over and over. Now I am a lake. A woman bends over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. She rewards me with tears and an agitation of hands. I am important to her. She comes and goes. Each morning it is her face that replaces the darkness. In me she has drowned a young girl, and in me an old woman rises toward her day after day like a terrible fish. Okay, so let's first talk about how the mirror is personified in here. So first of all, the mirror is swallowing things. Okay, whatever you see, I swallow immediately. So the fact that the mirror is swallowing is human. It's saying that the mirror is truthful. It's not cruel, it's truthful. Which also, again, is not something you would usually say about a mirror. It's something you'd usually say about a person. So that's one more way that it's personified. It says that it's the eye of a little god, so it has eyes. It looks at things for quite a while. It sees, once again down here, it sees somebody. And that's it for the way it's personified. So we have several different ones. One is that it's truthful. One is that it swallows things. Another is that it has an eye and it sees things. It looks at things. Also, it has a heart. Okay, so all of those things are specifically for humans, but in this case, the mirror is being described that way. Now let's talk about what this actually means. So the mirror is very upfront in the first half of the poem that it is truthful. It is honest with people. So when people look in it, it doesn't distort things. It shows people as they truly are. So when people look in a mirror, they will see themselves reflected back. Okay. And later on, we find out that a woman is looking in and she cries. Okay, she rewards the mirror with tears and agitation of hands, like she's trembling. She's so sad by what she sees. So the story is less about the mirror and more about the woman who's looking in the mirror. Okay, and as she looks at herself, she's seeing her reflection and really unhappy about what she's seeing. Now, the mirror also compares itself to a lake. Okay, which is really strange to have a mirror narrating a poem and then comparing itself to a lake, which is really bizarre. But in this case, the woman is searching for who she really is. So if you think of a lake, think how far down you can go into the lake. Like it could be 20 feet deep, who knows? So a mirror, it does not have any depth. You can't go into a mirror. But if it's a lake, then the woman could go far down into the lake to try to find who she is. So the reason the mirror compares itself to a lake is that the woman is looking for herself. So it shows that there's a lot of space for her to kind of like move around in and look for who she really is. If you're having trouble answering that question on your sheet, you can just say it's because she has to look around in the lake for herself. She's searching for who she is. Okay. And as it goes on, again, we see that the woman has cried. She has cried over her reflection. She's sad about who she's becoming. And it says that this young girl that began by looking in the mirror when she was young is being drowned because she's becoming older. Okay, she's aging. And as she watches that, it's like this terrible thing coming to her out of this lake. Okay, because the mirror, again, is a lake, which is why it's compared to this terrible fish here at the end. So I understand that's very bizarre, all of that. But to put it into a very concise statement, we have a mirror that is completely honest, and then we have a woman searching for herself in that mirror, hoping to find something that makes her happy. She unfortunately is sad to see herself aging and becoming less like the person that she wants to be. And that aging process, her seeing herself grow into an older woman, haunts her. And it's coming out of this lake like a terrible fish. So it continues to haunt her and torment her as she grows older. So it's essentially about a woman aging and looking in a mirror and just being very sad as she sees herself aging. Okay. If you still have questions on either of those poems, I assume this will be the trickier one for you. Please let me know. But otherwise, you can move on to the sheet if you haven't yet done the personification exercises. Okay, thank you very much.